to programming 3. And the more you're exposed to it, the more time you'll have to learn it, right? If I introduce it like in the last 4 weeks of class, that's not going to be enough. But if you see it over the course of a semester, eventually it's going to hopefully make sense. Like, oh, now I know like how this stuff works. Okay, so let me go here. This doesn't make sense, but I'm still going to check it in because it'll be linked to that video. So add function variable. Okay, so I want to remember you have to commit, and that's the first step. And then to send it to GitHub, you sync changes or you can push, right? And that should send it to GitHub. Over here, it'll ask you if you want to fetch. You can say yes. It's not going to hurt anything, okay? Okay, so let's go on to the next example. Let me close this, guys. Oops, I needed to go here. So let me go to decimals or doubles, right? The double data type. And here, like, the main purpose of this example is to show you that working with decimals can be troublesome, right? So let's go see that real quick. So write a double value return function named add to double one. So meaning like it returns double. The name is add to double one. Enter, right? It fills in the rest for you. That accepts a double parameter, or as we learned, it's a variable, right? So we're like, oh, okay, so double, and we can name it whatever, no matter. Like we'll name it num. And always in the header, we are using the function prototype or the function signature or header, right? That's what that means. Like that's what we're doing there. And we always need a semicolon only in the header file. What's a header file? A file that has a .h ending, right? Or whatever. So let's see, what are we doing now? So we go here and we write code for the function always in the CPP file, which is an implementation file. That's where we implement function code. So we have to do that, no semicolon, open close curly brace, and that's where we write code. However, we have to make sure that we include the header file. Decimals.h, okay? So we include it, and now here is saying write code for function named add to double one that adds 0.3 3 times to the incoming double parameter. Okay, so let's create a local function variable here. So we can say double, so we can get practice writing variables, right? So double. Remember in C++, you have to tell C++ what kind of data type you're using when you create a variable. So we'll say double, and then we can say the return value equals num plus 0.3 plus 0.3 plus 0.3. That's what it wants us to do. And then we simply return the return value. Let me see, I don't like this theme. Let me see, because there's another theme that, let me see, was it, maybe was it this one? Yeah, the white was just like bothering me. Okay, there we go. So the keywords are a different color, right? That's what I was looking for. What's a keyword? Like double, right? It's a C++ keyword. Return, it's a C++ keyword, so that's what I was looking for. Okay, we wrote code. So what's the next step? Test the code. So now we have to test this function, add to double one. We go down here. Actually, I already have it here, right? But well, let me just make sure students know where to find it. Examples, data types, ex01, we open the CPP file always, and now here's like, okay, let's test it, right? So it's saying here, test case, add to double one with 0 value as the function argument, right? So we're like, okay, I know this is the template that I have to follow. One warning here, make sure that the text here and the text here are always different. If they are the same, your test functions will not run. However, like you won't see any error, like you will just see nothing and it'll be like, what is wrong? Right? So please remember, like this value here and this value here for each test case has to be different. So here we're testing add to double one with 0 as parameter. And what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Show the inconsistency. Oops. Show that's too much, right? Show issues when comparing doubles or decimal values. Okay, so let me go here, and we always have to help C++ know where to find our code. So we wrote code in header file decimals.h, so we have to make sure we include decimals.h. Okay, so now C++ will know where to go find that add to double one function. Control space, that should bring up the IntelliSense, and then we're like, oh, okay, cool. So it says 0, right? So we're like, okay, 0. So if we do that, then 0 plus 0.3 plus 0.3 plus 0.3, that should be 0.9, right? So that's what we're trying to test here. And we can run the test case now. So we go to ex01 test, right click, run in terminal. And notice it's saying that it failed, like it's like it failed. But if you look at the values here, right here, notice that down here, right, it's saying we see 0.9 and we see 0.9, but this decimal stuff, it depends on the CPU architecture. How is the CPU handling or storing values, right? So the solution here is always to convert with multiples of tens, hundreds, thousands, whatever it is. You have to convert the values to whole numbers and then compare them. Okay, so that's going to be left for you for homework assignment, right? But that's like an issue with doubles, right? So let me see here. It's saying with 1 as parameter. So I'm not going to rewrite the whole test case. Let me do 1 as parameter and run it. So let's see, run in terminal. And let's see what happens. Oops, I need to put 1.9, right? So that was on me. So let me make sure I change that value. And then let's try to run the test case one more time. And it still failed, right? So I think in a previous computer, one would pass and one would fail, but I changed computers and now like the architecture was different, so it'll still fail. Now let's go and see, it's asking us to create a new function, double 2, right? So let me go back here. and write double add control space to double one, accepts a double parameter. So we'll say double num, semicolon. Again, what is this? It's a function prototype, signature, or header. This is this statement here, okay? So anytime on homework assignments where you hear prototype, signature, or header, it's talking about this here, okay? Let me copy this. And we write code for the function in CPP. We've already included decimals.h, so we don't have to include it again. So now you can kind of interpret or understand what the semicolon means. The semicolon is telling C++, hey, I'm only writing the function prototype, signature, or header here. Later on, I will write the whole code for the function, right? So it's kind of like a promise to C++. So if you go here, then this is where we're going to fulfill our promise, and now we're going to write code for add to double 2, and it's saying add to double 0.35 times to incoming double parameter. Okay, so let's see, double value equals num plus 0.3 plus 0.3 plus 0.3 plus 0.3 plus 0.3. And we have to remember to return the value. This will be the last example, because otherwise we won't have time to complete the assignment. Okay, so let's go test this piece. So let me go to the test case, and I will copy this as long as I change this text here, right? And I'll be like double 2 0 as parameter, and we were doing a 0 5 times, so that should be what, 1.5, right? 1.5 hopefully. And we are not using 1, we are using add to double 2. I can go and actually this one I have to mute it because it's failing. If it fails, it's not going to run this test case here. So let me go here and click run in terminal. Okay, echo variable 10. Dude, I thought I changed that piece. Running terminal. I guess I didn't change it. I thought I had changed it. Okay, so notice this one passes. But again, these two examples introduce the decimal data type, but also like show that comparing decimals is not consistent, and if it's not consistent, then we better stay away from it, right? Always convert to whole numbers on both sides and then compare them. You won't run into this issue. Let me go here and commit this example. Double inconsistency adding. Okay, so commit. Yes. And then I will send over with a push. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and then I'll